Good morning, everybody. Andy Pickering here, host of the Crypto Conversation podcast. It is time for the Crypto Conversation market sentiment report. Let's get on with the show. So, as always, I'm going to run through a few data points, news headlines, that kind of stuff. You can just listen to this as a normal podcast on Apple or Spotify, or if you want to see what I'm sharing on my screen, please watch along with me on the Brave New Coin YouTube channel. So we're going to kick off here, of course, at bravenewcoin.com, and we can see that the Bitcoin price, according to the Bitcoin Liquid Index, the BLX today, we're around 61,340. Ethereum, the Ethereum Liquid Index has Ethereum at just a hair under 4,500. So if we look on Coin Market Cap, so you can see just a little bit of a dip here on Bitcoin, Ethereum, some of the big cap coins, even down here, our meme coins of the moment, Dogecoin, not doing too much. And SHIBA Inu is actually, dropping back reasonably sharply for SHIBA. Most of the dips on SHIBA have been bought up quite aggressively recently as, I suppose, new retail traders embrace the power of the meme coin. So you can see SHIBA still up, close to 600% over the last 60 days, which is quite incredible. And, even today, again, just shows you the power of memes, I guess, or the meme narrative. Top performing coins today, Chihuahua. So, not much to say there. It's just dog coins. If you want more proof that we are in fact living in a simulation, this is it. You just find a new dog coin, put money into it, and get the kind of returns that any other market could only ever dream of. Is it really that simple? I don't know. Even Squid Game. So again, more simulation theory, hypothesis, proof, if you like. Hey, have a random obscure show from South Korea go effectively viral on Netflix. And of course, Squid Game itself is about a kind of dystopian future. And well, here we are. So Squid Game, interesting thing about Squid Game is, of course, earlier in the week. So just watch this. I'm not going to play audio, but watch what happens to, this is the Squid Game chart from earlier in the week. So it's gone up, it's gone up, it's gone up. Old mate influencer here, he's watching. Oh, boom, absolutely returned to zero. So that was caught kind of live on stream. It looked like this. This is what the chart looked like. Again, quite incredible to see these meme coins do this. But of course, that wasn't even the end of Squid Game. They've kind of relaunched. I think it might be a different token anyway. Not here to talk about meme coins all day, but it just kind of shows you, there's certainly a segment of the market that is somewhat frothy, shall we say. But that's okay because there's lots of solid, fundamental, bullish news, momentum, whatever you like to call it. There's just lots happening. So, Travis Kling just put this this bullet pointed list in quite a small font because there was so much happening. Just some of the things that happened in October that are really positive developments for the wider blockchain ecosystem. So don't worry, not going to read through all of them, but let's just scroll through and pick out a few highlights. Facebook changed its name to Meta, pivoting to a metaverse, a company. FTX, I mean, speaking of the simulation, this is just crazy. One of the biggest exchanges in crypto, FTX raises $420,069,000 from 69 investors. So it's just, playing on the memes again, 420, 69. Elon started all this, of course. Anyway, what else have we got? Celsius raised 400 million on a 3 billion valuation. China-based crypto VC fund Sino Global Capital launched a 200 million fund with backing from FTX. Shout out to Matthew Graham at Sino Global. US Senator, I think her name is Cynthia Loomis. She bought more Bitcoin, calls Bitcoin an excellent store of value. So A16Z, they launched a major crypto policy campaign to try and influence US policymakers. Again, just lots happening and that was just October. That was October, you know, Bitcoin up a lot in October. So yeah, we've got 2 months left to go in Q4. What happens next? Stay tuned. We'll see. Of course, a lot of the momentum in October, if you like, for Bitcoin certainly was, of course, triggered by the approval by the SEC of the ProShares Futures Bitcoin ETF. So that was certainly cause for celebration, was reflected in the price. US finally has a Bitcoin ETF, woohoo. But yeah, it's futures. So, you know, when spot ETF, of course, is the question that everyone is asking. And this week, we saw that US representatives Tom Emmer and Darren Soto, they wrote to the SEC and Gary Gensler to, I suppose, formally suggest that it was time for a Bitcoin spot-based ETF. And of course, what's interesting about this is it's a bipartisan approach. It's not, so it's, and that's one of the things to watch in US politics is as Bitcoin starts to make its way into the halls of power, it is, it's across all parties, which I think is interesting. Okay, so here's the letter. So this is from Tom Emmer. Not going to read it all. I mean, you can look it up yourself. But he just says, today I sent a letter to Gary Gensler with Darren Soto about Bitcoin ETFs. He says it doesn't make sense that Bitcoin futures ETFs are allowed to trade, but Bitcoin spot ETFs are not. So he says, goes on to say, while the trading of the two Bitcoin futures ETFs in October is a step forward for the millions of Americans who want to invest in crypto through traditional methods, the onus is on the SEC and now more than ever to allow Bitcoin spot ETFs to commence trading because American investors deserve choice. So hard to argue with that. Gerbex points out, of course, you know, a physical spot-based Bitcoin ETF would offer transparent holdings, transparent prices, a daily NAV, high liquidity, negligible premiums or discounts, which is always good, access to capital markets, easy tax documents, investor protections, and of course, well, you kind of get the assurance that you're owning actual physical spot Bitcoin, which ultimately is what you want, I think, as a Bitcoin investor. So as always, you know, a meme tells the story, you know, SEC, Bitcoin spot ETF, no, thank you. But Bitcoin futures leveraged ETF. Yeah, I mean, well, we don't have the leveraged ETFs yet. SEC have turned down a leveraged ETF, but yeah. What do we think? Is a spot ETF coming? Eventually, probably, but not yet. Grayscale, of course, probably be one of the first in the queue if it does happen. So you've probably seen them. They have officially filed to convert the GPTC fund into a physical ETF. So that's all underway. I think, yeah, the first possible date for approval would be December 24, but I think be much more likely that that will be pushed out until next year, well into next year. Now, Eric, of course, Eric at Bloomberg Berg is always a good guy to follow on all this stuff. His beat is the ETF beat. So he is talking back to this letter from the congressman asking Gary Gensler to approve a spot ETF, and he's framing it as, they can't understand why derivatives are okay, but spot is not. And this is a fair question because almost every other country on earth, apart from the US, does now have some kind of physical spot-based Bitcoin ETF. Well, that's not true. Not every country does, but a lot of some in Europe do. Canada does. Australia, they don't yet, but they have signaled that they will approve Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs next year. So, why is the US dragging its feet? And, well, Gary has said why they're dragging its feet. And according to Gary, he says that most of the crypto asset space has simply not come under an investor protection remit, and thus investors are not protected against fraud or manipulation of the markets the way that they are with the stock or bond markets that the SEC oversees. So without that, crypto remains a bit of a wild west. Yeah, I mean, you can see his point of view, I suppose. And of course, the reason that the futures ETF is approved is because it trades CME futures, which comes under the watchful eye of the SEC. So, yeah, simple as that, really. All right. What else is happening? Well, Grayscale. Speaking of Grayscale, we did just refer to Grayscale. So I thought this was quite cool. They're partnering with CoinDesk to share live Bitcoin price quotes on hundreds of street corners across New York City. So again, just, you're going to be able to, if looking at CoinMarketCap on your phone every 5 minutes is not enough, now you can just check it out on the street corner on NYC. Pretty cool. And speaking of NYC, let's go to Miami first. So Mayor Francis Suarez is the mayor of Miami, and he wants to take his next paycheck 100% in Bitcoin. So he said that he's going to do that, and not to be outdone, Eric Adams, who I believe is the incoming mayor of NYC. Eric says that in New York, we always go big. So he is going to take his first 3 paychecks in Bitcoin when he becomes mayor. New York City is going to be the center of the crypto industry and other fast-growing innovative industries. Just you wait and see, says Eric. And Mayor Francis from Miami says, well, touche, Mr. Eric. Congrats on the election, and I look forward to a friendly competition and making our respective cities a crypto capital. Of course, Michael Saylor says, congrats, everyone. Bitcoin is hope for New York. So it just shows, what's quite incredible to see. This has all just happened in the last few months, really, perhaps the last 3 to 6 months. You're seeing politicians and global leaders, presidents all around the world, El Salvador, but quite incredible to see, the mayors of 2 of America's biggest cities compete with each other to see who can be the most crypto friendly, and they're both opting to take some of their pay in Bitcoin. So, things are accelerating, I think. All right. Well, speaking of Bitcoin, Willy Woo, what's my prediction for the top of this cycle? Says Willy. Probably one of the number one questions that people would ask technical analysts or on-chain analysts like Willy. But so according to Willy, he says, I think this is the last cycle, the one that takes us to saturation or mainstream adoption, which if it wins, we can't put a USD value on it because things get valued in BTC. Very bullish from Willy. Therefore, he says, thus the cycle top is easy to pick. It will be 1 BTC equals 1 BTC, which I saw that, and that kind of reminded me of this podcast. So this is my most recent podcast, published this about 2 days ago. I had a chat with Checkmate, who is my Aussie mate. Checkmate is the lead on-chain analyst at Glassnode. So I had a great chat with him. If you haven't listened to that podcast, please do, because it's a good one. But in that podcast, Checkmate sort of had I suppose a similar thought to Willie, when he essentially said, on a long enough time frame, there isn't necessarily a top for Bitcoin. So if you want to hear more about that, do listen to that episode. Yeah, it's done well. A lot of listens and downloads on that episode. All right, what else? Yeah, I thought this was interesting. So, of course, the big news with Facebook, Metaverse, Zuckerberg, Facebook effectively pivoting to become a Metaverse company, rebranding as Meta. And when Mark was announcing all this, he did one or two one-on-one interviews, and instead of going to, I don't know, CNN, New York Times, something like that, the first one he did was with Matthew Ball, who is I suppose, Metaverse influencer or thought leader. And then he did one with this woman here, Sarah, who she's a YouTuber, a tech and creativity YouTuber. So, might not be the most natural choice for Mark, but I mean, it's obviously great that he decided to sit down with Sarah. And I think the reason why is, Balaji talks about this all the time, with the kind of some of the toxicity, if you like, that comes from simplistic and mainstream media narratives. If you're a founder and you already have an audience and a distribution channel, there's no reason to go to, I don't know, Hannity or Anderson Cooper or someone like that, when you can kind of go direct to your audience with whoever you want, really. And that's exactly what Mark has done this week. And yeah, so I just think that's probably going to happen more and more. Okay, let's start to finish off just with some what's happening in NFT land. Yeah, just a quote here: CEO of EA Games. What are they called? I don't even know. EA Games. Anyway, Andrew Wilson, he says that play to earn NFTs are the future of the gaming industry. Very bullish, very bullish. But if that is the case, of course, we need to sort out some of the complexities in issuing NFTs. This was a fascinating piece published by Convex Labs. So it's called A Guide to Effectively Cheating NFT Launches or Detecting Cheaters. So it just goes through, there's all these quite sneaky tools out there that you'll be familiar with if you're a smart contract developer. But effectively what they do is you can run these scripts or tools and search for metadata on NFTs that haven't been unveiled or revealed yet, and try and find rare NFTs ahead of other buyers or collectors, essentially. So just good to, yeah, I mean, it's kind of sucks that all this stuff is happening, but it's crypto, so it is going to be happening. All right. Nevertheless, Web3 is making the internet creative and weird again, and I'm all for it, says this CryptoPunk Ian guy. And yeah, I just thought that is so true. Web3 is making the internet weird again. Could not agree more. So much so that, I mean, speaking of weird, I don't know if it's creative, but McDonald's released a McRib NFT. I mean, that is weird. That is weird. I think the McRib is weird, full stop. I've never had a McRib. I don't think I have no desire to have one either. It just doesn't appeal to me. I don't think I'll be getting the NFT either, but I did think that was weird. All right. Also creative and weird, and on the internet is Reddit. I do enjoy a bit of Reddit. Yeah. Reddit have a crypto team. So I'm not sure who this guy is, but I just saw this retweeted by Chris Dixon about 10 minutes ago. So let's close it out with, Reddit are going crypto. I mean, they've talked about this for quite a while, but what are they going to do? I guess they want to decentralize social media. Sure, sounds good. Okay. Your karma points will soon be tokens. Interesting. So you could think of that as community-based decisions, forking subreddits and disagreements, and all of this without losing your community points. Very interesting. Reddit has 500 million monthly active users. That's quite a few people. That's good. So this guy is saying that we're effectively onboarding all those Reddit users from Web 2 into Web 3. 500 million new crypto users overnight. Okay, sounds good. Yeah. So again, it's just, things are happening. And just as we finish off, again, it just speaks to Web3 as being creative and weird, and NFTs, so this is from the New York City NFT conference event, or whatever you want to call it, earlier this week, when CryptoPunk 6239, I think that's right, something like that. He hired the NASDAQ billboard in Times Square and effectively threw up some of the highlights from his NFT collection for the people to enjoy. Creative and weird. Fantastic to see. All right, guys. Well, that is it for today's show, for today's crypto market update. Hope you enjoyed that. Please, if you did enjoy the show, don't forget, make sure you subscribe to the Crypto Conversation podcast in whatever podcast app you are using, so you know when each new episode drops. But that's it for today. Thanks for listening, everyone. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave a New Coin. See ya.